how's it going? Welcome to another video upload from Aspie with Attitude. If you're watching this for the first time, my name is David. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I have autism, I have some speech difficulty, a speech impairment, and a speech impairment, and Asperger's syndromes, and that's why I call myself an Aspie. So, welcome to episode 283, which I'll be talking about my speech difficulties and how bad it once was back in the days growing up in the 90s. And meanwhile, if you have any interest in my YouTube videos, you haven't done this yet, please subscribe to Aspie with Attitude. That's all I ever ask for in terms of support. And also, you can ring this notification bell if you want to keep up to date with Aspie with Attitude. Also, please do not forget to like and share this video content. That way, you're showing more support to my Autistic YouTube channel, Aspie with Attitude. And I think it's time to get into the contents now. In most of my video contents, there's always been a mention of me having speech difficulties. In this video upload, I will explain stuttering and how I once used to stutter and explain how my stuttering problems were treated. To understand what stuttering is a form of speech difficulties when the person who is speaking articulates repetition of sounds, words or syllables. Imagining that the person stuttering may pronounce sounds or words in the form of a barking machine gun, just like how the person would drum the same sound before getting their words out. Stuttering has an effect on normal flow of speech, regardless of whatever language that the person is speaking. Doesn't matter whether it's French, Italian, Spanish, Cantonese, Japanese or Arabic. The person who stutters usually have difficulties communicating or engaging in any given group discussions. Stuttering does affect relationships, social engagements or job opportunities. Often, stuttering may irritate other listeners and even some neurotypicals do have a tendency to stutter. From the age of 13 up till when I was 17 years old, this was a time in my life when I used to stutter. Another reason why my peers in high school had rejected me from their social engagements, as I explained this back in episode 217, something I've uploaded back in January 2022 when I was rejected. I began to stutter since I had started high school back in 1993 at the age of 13. This had prevented me to make good friends in high school. My speech difficulties had always been there, especially growing up with speech apraxia, as I explained this back in episode 258, something I had uploaded on the 22nd of October 2022 as a recap. If you're interested in this video upload, you know I'll be leaving a thumbnail at the very end of this video content if you want to see it from my artwork and its special effects. And to get on with the content now. When I used to stutter, often I had some peers in high school addressing me with ableist slurs, and there were others who mimicked the way I used to stutter. Even I recall back in 1996 in year 10, when I was 16 years old, I had ableist bullies regarding me as a eugenic who needs to be put to death. 1996 was the year that I was fully diagnosed with autism. Looking back when I used to stutter, it was frustrating and felt like I had to live with it due to facing rejections from my same-age peers in high school, and I found it impossible to develop the social cues that I needed for acceptance from any of my same-age peers back in high school. As a high school kid, I was under a lot of pressure and used to have anxiety disorder, not knowing where I fit in with my peers in high school, and even an old friend from primary school took an advantage of my social deficit and used to bully me by calling me a wuss if I never did what he wanted me to do. A combination of speech apraxia anxiety, academic pressures, being bullied from my peers, and also being rejected from my peers from my high school class was most likely the cause of my stuttering problems. 26 years ago, at the time of this video upload, it was back in April 1997, everything had began to change. There was a treatment for stuttering, which is called an intensive smooth speech course. This was a week-long course to become cured from my stuttering. This is now the time to explain in detail how was I ever cured from stuttering. In the beginning of the course, I talked normally, still with my stutter. I was speaking at 230 syllables per minute instead of speaking at 180 syllables per minute, which I was told at the time that's a normal rate for a normal person to speak on, regardless of what spectrum that the person's on. Late in the afternoon on the first day when I started my intensive smooth speech course, I had to slow my speech pattern down to 60 syllables per minute. The good news is, this wasn't ABA. This was all straight up speech therapy that I was actually going through. As my speech slowed down to 60 syllables per minute, I had to learn the cues for smooth speech. Number 1, gentle onset. This is when it's expected that all sounds that are made, especially when you start talking, always to be on a gentle sounds. And you do not hammer the sounds. That way, you're trying to articulate the words and the sounds to start your sentence or whatever you want to say. For instance, when you say yes, you want to be gentle when you say yeah, and pretty much finish off with the S sound. And even the same thing with no, which I'm talking about words with one syllables. Therefore, you're given a gentle onset just to make sure that your speech patterns are in harmony. That way, you're just starting to feel more cured from stuttering. So that's number 1, explain what gentle onsets are. Number 2, you stretch out the vowels. There are a total of 5 vowels, which is A, E, I, O, U. I'll say again, stretching it out, it goes A, E, I, O, U. When speaking, always stretch out the vowels, and with consonants, always maintain gentle onset, since consonants will coexist with vowels. It will have a much shorter sounds than what the vowels do. That way, you're really trying to add a lot of harmony into your speech by really stretching out your vowels. And you can just see how smooth the speech can get. And for number 3, you link the words. So like, when speaking a complete sentence, you want the words to flow in harmony. Not stop in between words or sounds when you're speaking a complete sentence. And you're not talking like link the words. And otherwise, you want to be saying link the words. Otherwise, if you're just going to say link the words, that actually causes blocking, which is another form of stuttering as well, when you tend to block, as you really shut down and zone out, when you actually don't. And number 4, you always slow down. So like anything you say, you want your sentences to flow with harmony, and always talk at a slow rate, just as you speak. And feel how you're making each sounds. Just the way you move your tongue and your mouth around. And do not talk like you're commentating a horse race, or you're talking fast like you're some sort of auctioneer. You're just really making sure your speech is in absolute harmony. That way, that's how you prevent stuttering when talking. And that's what I had learnt back at the intensive smooth speech course. And just how I almost got rails with the word smooth. So like, you're just saying smooth. Like, you're not saying smooth. And you can just see how it just blocks just then. It's just, once you pick up the harmony, it's expected that your stuttering will be phased out. This never takes overnight to be cured from stuttering. It was in April 1997. This took me a week to be treated from stuttering, and I had a good help from my father just to make general conversations at the rate that he made me talk, which actually really totally paid off. That way, if I was still stuttering, I would never become a rapper, and I wouldn't be making these autistic YouTube creative videos from Aspie with attitude. And once the intensive smooth speech course was over, it made a huge difference. Therefore, I began to get invited into parties, except I was told by my father I had to decline, all due to alcohol that's been involved, particularly being at the age of 17 and getting close to 18 at the legal drinking age in Australia. I had still made my way to some binge drinking parties through the other fake friend who once called me a wuss only if he didn't get his way with me. Without my stuttering, at the age of 17, finally became a teenage kid, a regular teenage kid who wore Adidas and a pair of Nikes on my feet, instead of being this autistic kid who was helplessly bullied. Since that, I don't want to actually get too far in the past. I've already talked about this back in episode 217 when I did talk about autism and rejection. But at least it's good to know that my stuttering is very minimal. Maybe in some of the other uploads, maybe you hear me stutter. Well, otherwise, all thanks to computers, I tend to cheat and cut out my stuttering anyway. All thanks to this video content, it kind of reminded me of how to use smooth speech, especially if I'm actually making these YouTube content videos. Something that's actually very related to episode 12 when I did explain speech difficulties. I still have a little bit of my speech apraxia when articulating TH words like the, that, they, them, their, or therefore. I've always worked on it anyway. So like, at least you didn't hear me stutter, maybe a little bit, but not intensively, sound like a barking machine gun. So anyway, I'm just going to be running out of breath. Since this has all been smooth sailing editing this video, and I really love to show off with a fidget spin nose trick since I'm done. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening to Aspie with Attitude, peace and respect, and see you next time.